One of the ways in which this meditation can be used is to get a better feel, develop better awareness of your body. So to start off with, I'd suggest standing with your feet either hip width apart or shoulder width. Personally, I find shoulder width is a little bit more comfortable. Also stand with your feet so that they are approximately parallel. And for me, parallel means generally the inside edges of it. Can be either the inside edges of your feet that are parallel or the outside edges, or somewhere in between. It's not crucial. What is more important is finding a position that feels comfortable for you. And the initial exercise in this standing meditation, you can think of this as a preparation, is making yourself as comfortable as possible. So standing with your feet about shoulder width apart, one of the first things that you can do is rock slightly forwards, and you'll notice that your toes and the fronts of your feet will press down into the floor with greater pressure and your heels will become light. You also may notice that your feet become tense. So rock forward a little bit and then rock back, and see if you can rock back just so that your heels press down and so that your toes relax on the floor. And you may find that there's still some tension in your foot. So if you rock back even further, you may find that your feet relax. So all of your weight is just in front of your heels, perhaps just about here. Your toes relax and your feet relax. And I'd suggest I don't use this position all of the time, but if your focus is on relaxing, especially if your feet are tired, you may find that this position, rocking back so that the fronts of your feet lightly touch the floor, is a very comfortable position within which to stand comfortably still and meditate. So the next general action you can do, so you can first rock forward and back, find a position where your weight is even on both heels. Then what you may find, if one foot is pressing down with slightly more pressure than the other, you can move slightly right and left, and then so move gradually between those two slightly. Focus on feeling your feet, and then see if you can feel a position where the weight is even on both your right foot and your left foot, and hold that position. And if you need to, rock forward and back again, so that again your weight is centered just in front of your heels. From there you can adjust, particularly if you're not used to this, you can adjust the bend in your knees. You may find if you bend a little bit deeper and then come up, you could come up all the way to standing. And when you stand up, you may find that your thighs relax because they don't have to engage to keep you stable in this position. However, I find it, with the knees bent, it can be more comfortable and easier to adjust the tilt of your pelvis and find a position which is comfortable for the lower back. So my suggestion here is, although I'm suggesting, so while it can be more comfortable to start with the knees bent initially, as you practice this meditation, you could also choose to meditate with the knees straight as well. But for now, bend your knees just a little bit, find a position that feels comfortable, and then again, go back to your feet. Make sure your weight is still even left and right, and also keep your weight on the heels so that the front of your feet feel relaxed. So from there, you could move on to the knees, and for the knees, you may find it helpful to focus on rotating your shins. Now, if you rotate your shins, your thighs will rotate also. But the difference is, by rotating your shins, it's more like you're using your feet and ankles to cause a rotation. Perhaps slightly different feeling than if it's coming from up here. But at any rate, try and rotate your shins slightly while focusing on your knees. You may notice that if you rotate your thighs out, there's a little bit more tension on the outside knees. If you roll the shins in, there's a little bit of tension on the inside knees. At any rate, see if you can rotate your shins out and then find a position where it feels comfortable on the knees. And if it's too difficult to focus on both knees at once, work on one at a time. Focus on your right knee, rotate it out and in. Find a position where it feels comfortable, and then focus on the left knee, rotate out and in, repeat a few times. Then find a position where it feels most comfortable, where the tension is balanced both on the outside of the knee and the inside. For the hips, what you may find helpful is to tilt the pelvis a little bit forward, and there I find a little bit of less open feeling in the front of the hips. Then if I tilt the pelvis back, that makes the front of the hips feel open, but it also adds a bit of tension to my buttocks. But I'll play between those two positions, seeing if looking for a position where there's even tension or even feeling at the front and the back of the hips. Now here again, if you have imbalance, if one hip feels slightly different than the other, what you can try doing is slightly tilting your hips turning your hips one way or the other. See if you can find a position where it feels comfortable. Another possibility is maybe one hip is higher than the other. So you could try dropping one hip or dropping the other hip. Again, looking for a position. So focus on one thing at a time. First, tilt your pelvis forward or back. Then tilt it, turn it right and left. Then tilt it right or left. Find a position where both hips feel approximately equal. Then start at your feet again. Weight even on your heels. Weight even left or right. Knees even. Hips both feel open. So from there, we're going to go back to adjusting the pelvis again, but this time with a focus on the lower back. So that is going to affect your hips, but if you have the feeling of balance in your hips, once you have it, you may find it's easier to get it without such an abrupt change in the position of your pelvis. But at any rate, tilting your pelvis forward or back again, focus on the feeling in your lumbar spine. If I tilt my pelvis forward, so I drop my pubic bone and lift my lower back, I'll feel a little bit of tightness in the back of the lumbar spine. If I tilt it back, then it starts to feel a little bit more open, and this is perhaps too much. So while tilting your pelvis forward or back, focus on feeling your lumbar spine. This part right here is the part that connects the pelvis to the rib cage. So try and make front and back feel open. Again, you can wiggle your pelvis, tilt it side to side, so that both sides feel equally open. Again, feel your feet left and right, front and back. Feel your knees, feel your hips. And so once you've gotten used to feeling your lumbar spine, as you adjust for your hips, you can also adjust for your lumbar spine at the same time. And for now, I'll suggest you may find it helpful to pull the lower belly slightly in. That's an exercise in and of itself. For the thoracic spine, you can bend the thoracic spine slightly backwards. That makes the front of the rib cage feel open. Then you can bend it forwards, and that collapses the front of the rib cage, but also makes the back ribs feel open. You could, if you have practiced, you could try lifting the back ribs slightly. It's difficult to see, but if you feel the action, then you know what I'm talking about. You can try or imagine drawing the backs of the ribs up. So adjust the forward and back tilt. See if you can make both the front and back of your rib cage feel open. Then from there, feel your lumbar spine. Try and make the lumbar spine feel open. Adjust your hips, knees, and feet. Now from there, when I was explaining this to a friend, I suggested going straight to the shoulders. But since we're on the spine, I'll suggest for this video, focus on your head position as well. You can draw the head back and up and chin down. Try and find a position where the back of your neck feels comfortably long. And you may find that helps your rib cage to relax a little bit because you've added tension to the side of the neck, and then the muscles of the neck are helping to support the rib cage a little bit, so there's balanced tension both in the front and back of the rib cage and the neck. And then from there you can work on the shoulders. So just one more time, neck long, chest, front and back of the rib cage open, front and back of the lumbar spine open, left and right hips open, knees feel balanced, and weight even on both feet, perhaps balanced on the heels. Now as your upper body feels more comfortable, like you've got tuned tension, you may find that it feels right to lean slightly forward so that your feet have a little bit of tension. Decide for yourself. Does it feel better to lean forward a touch, or does it feel better to keep the weight on the fronts of your heels? Now from there, hopefully you've already done the shoulder awareness exercises or the scapular awareness exercises, but you can move your shoulders slightly forward or slightly back. So if you move your shoulders forward, what that can do is create a feeling of openness between the shoulder blades. So keep that openness, and then to create a feeling of openness in the front of the shoulders, what you can do is roll the upper arms externally or outward, so the front of the arms moves out like so. So relax if you need to, spread the backs of the shoulders, roll the upper arms out so the front of the shoulders feels open. And again, let's check. Neck long, front and back of the rib cage open, lumbar spine open, hips open, knees feel balanced, weight even on both feet and centered over the front of the heels. And from there you can feel the elbows. You might choose to rotate the forearms slightly so that there is balanced tension or comfortable tension in the forearms. Then you can bend the wrist back and forward slightly. See if you can find a place where the wrists, the front and backs of the wrist feel comfortable. Then with the fingers, you can make the fingers feel comfortably long and open, relax. And the feeling could be of, even though your knees are bent, you could focus on lengthening up through your spine. So reach your ribs and head up away from your pelvis. And then from there, your shoulders, your upper arms, your forearms, your fingers, the bones in your hands, they all hang downwards. And then from there, what I suggest, you can just hold that position, comfortably breathing, or just cycle your awareness, feet, knees, hips, spine, shoulders, arms, making slight adjustments so that everything feels comfortable, open, and balanced. And for a general principle, I'd say what you're looking for is a balance between maximum openness, which adds a little bit, which if you're maximally open, that adds a bit of tension, which it feels uncomfortable. It's a bit too tight. And maximum relaxation is like this, like sinking down but still staying upright. So you're trying to find a balance between those two extremes, so that the tension gives you an awareness or a feel for your entire body, but feels relaxed at the same time, so that you can instantly move if you want to, and your movements have a smooth quality to it. But there's also a sense of relaxation at the same time. There are some other exercises that you can do which involve moving your awareness through your body, but I'll go on to those in future videos. Anyway, hopefully that was helpful. Thank you for watching. Namaste.